Welcome to People at Work. I'm Amanda Dundas, and I'm speaking today with Org Vitality CEO Jeffrey Saltzman about the future of the survey industry. Jeffrey, welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. Nice to be here.
Tell us, what are the current trends in the industry?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball, and I wish I knew this for certain, but there are trends that you can sort of discern in terms of what's going on. Several factors underline these trends. One is the greater use of AI in various places. A lot of AI systems, for instance, allow you to take what was used to be done very painfully as a one-off kind of thing, and to do it at scale. For instance, we used to labor over executive presentations. We still labor over executive presentations. But what we've been able to do is capture some of the essence of those executive presentations and apply from using an AI algorithm to manager reports, where essentially what you're able to do is take some of the insights that you would find by doing lots of different analyses, by testing out hypotheses, and instead of doing it for one executive presentation, applying it to 10,000 manager reports. And those kind of things, those trends are possible because of the increase, one, in computing power, but two, in the sort of the sophistication, the increasing sophistication of artificial intelligence, combined with the computing power that lets you do some of these things at scale. And along with that, for instance, there's a tendency for companies to be interested in more of a holistic approach to the survey from the standpoint of tracking someone through the employee life cycle. So for instance, the life cycle is what first attracted an employee to apply to a particular company. Why company X instead of company Y? Why did they accept an offer, or why didn't they accept an offer? What was the onboarding like? Once they got onboarded, what was the socialization like? How quickly did they get up to speed in terms of the tasks that they've been assigned in their new position? What's their employee engagement like on an ongoing basis? And then looking at other aspects, potentially as they wind down their career, exit surveys or retirement surveys. And one of those things that allows you to do by tying them together in more of a holistic fashion is being able to answer the question, rather than what did we learn from a person on their exit survey, but rather if we take the exit survey information and we tie it back a year, 2 years, 3 years to the ongoing employee survey, what were the early warning signs that this person might be someone at risk to leave a company? So that taking a holistic approach, again, a life cycle approach, along with the increasing ability to use more powerful computers and artificial intelligence, allows you to look at the pattern of the employee throughout the whole life cycle.
So there's more. Are you saying that there's more integration with sophisticated survey programs?
Yes, that would be a good way to summarize it. There's more integration and greater insights that are able to be generated when you take a holistic approach rather than a compartmentalized approach to employee surveys.
A lot of what you're saying seems to be based on the technologies that are being developed. Is that accurate? And if so, what are the new technologies on the horizon?
Well, there's lots of things under development, some of which, honestly, I'd rather not talk about publicly because we're developing them and we view them as giving us a competitive edge. But in terms of some of the technologies that people are thinking about and things that are considering being implemented, in some cases things are being implemented that perhaps shouldn't be implemented, it really falls into a couple of buckets. Let me start off by telling a short little story. Years and years ago, I had a very senior manager pull me aside once after I did a presentation about his company. And he said to me, if I was really good, if I was a really good consultant in the employee culture, I'd be able to ask only one question. And that one question would tie back to everything we needed to know about that employee. And this is part of the emphasis of, surveys used to be 125 questions, then 75 questions, and 50 questions. Then all you have to do is ask an index. And, employee engagement was an attempt to find that mythical holy grail. The problem with that kind of thinking, though, it's as though employees are these unidimensional creatures that somehow can be summated by one or a handful of questions, by one emotion or one attitude. And nothing really could be further than the truth. What is closer to the truth is that understanding people and what drives them in various situations is well beyond rocket science. The number of variables that you have to consider and the number of variations on those variables is largely infinite. Why do people behave one way in one situation and maybe behave differently in a similar kind of situation? The permutations are just endless and endless. What is true, though, and one of the things that is very clear, is that when you ask directly about issues of importance, that gives you better information than asking these sort of black box kind of let's find the one question or the handful of questions that is the holy grail. So technologies and approaches like tying the surveys back to specific strategies that an organization is trying to implement allows us to capture what's truly important for the organization. And these technologies, these approaches need to be grounded in science and are able to be delivered because of the advances in the computing power that we talked about, in the advances in the algorithms, applying some of the latest research in the area of nudging, for instance, and even we have a proprietary system that is able to identify the most useful comments that a survey uncovers in a population. There's lots of new things on the horizon, but I think what's important is that it's grounded in sound science and it's grounded in sound business cases as to why you're doing some of these things.
So when you talk about being grounded in science and grounded in business outcomes, are you talking about a focus on strategy?
Yeah, I'm talking about a focus on strategy, but even beyond that, what I mean is that just because something is technologically feasible doesn't mean it's good science or good business. For instance, there's been work done on what's called unobtrusive measures. My favorite when I was in graduate school, unobtrusive measure, was you think of a museum, you could tell about exhibit popularity by looking at the wear marks on the carpet around the exhibits, right? So you're not asking anybody to do anything. What you're measuring is the outcome of the popularity of that exhibit, which was the carpeting, the flooring around the exhibit would wear away faster from one exhibit than another exhibit. And so that's one way to do it. But these unobtrusive measures can also go in a negative direction. For instance, there's at least one company, if not several, that are trying to track people's attitudes by looking at their facial expressions through their computer cameras, right? Putting aside the obvious, privacy issues there, the science on that is shaky, and the business case for that is even worse. The business case is lousy. Why would you want people knowing, or why would you want people feeling that they're being monitored at work by the camera on their computer, right? So is it a good idea? No. Is it technically possible? Yes, it's technically possible. But why in the world would you do that to your employee population when you're trying to build trust and you're trying to build a sense of cohesiveness in an employee population that we're all in this together? What you're building is a sort of a big brotherish kind of culture. So there are technologies out there that are very powerful, very strong, but there are technologies out there that certainly you must be aware of.
So we're just about out of time, but do you have any last piece of advice for survey practitioners looking to implement or overhaul their survey programs?
I think the most important thing is to start with the end in mind. What's the goal that you're chasing? Is it quality? Is it customer service? Is it sales? Is it retention? Build both your content and your process to solve the problems that you're dealing with and the goals that you're chasing. As your goals and problems change, as they certainly are doing in today's environment, be prepared to change your content and your process. Don't become a dinosaur by being stuck in a rut and doing things the way they've always been done. Adapt and change.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. As always, more information can be found on our website at orgvitality.com/resources.